This is the third part of the demonstration video for modeling buildings using Boolean operations. I've opened the My Building 2 Cylinders Max, and if you choose Select Object and select your tower, you'll notice it's a Pro Boolean. This gives you access to many of the parts in here. If you need continued access to this, you would go ahead and use an Edit Poly modifier. I'm not going to do that. In this case, we're going to just go ahead and right-click and convert to editable poly. So from this point on, we don't have access to moving individual floors or the sub-objects to the Boolean operation. Left-click and Alt-W, orbit around to where you have a good view of the roof. Select and choose Edge. Select the edge, select the move, select a view, make sure it's absolute down here and change 200 to 160. Next, use the inset, switch to the polygon, select the top polygon, but it probably would have been safer to have this before you select the polygon, because you can inadvertently move a polygon during selection. Next, inset, set this to by polygon and the amount to 2, and then click OK. And then extrude and use local normal and choose -2. Alt-W, I'm right-clicking, Alt-W, right-click, Alt-W, and pan to where you're still selected, that polygon's still selected, and you can see we need to move that polygon so that this white line is vertical. So choose Move, choose Local, and then drag, make sure that your snap is off, and just drag it until that little white line near the top is vertical. Then go back to Select Object, Alt-W to see everything, and it should look like this. The roof is finished, and you should be able to save this as My Buildings 2 Roof. So save as My Building 2 underscore roof. Next, we work on materials. So we're still on Polygon. Let's Alt-W to see the entire object here. Let's select everything here. Actually, let's just unselect Polygon. Just select everything here and right-click and isolate the selection. That way we won't have the other tower in the way. Go back to Polygon and notice that it automatically selected everything, but we can Control A and make sure it's selected. Make sure everything's selected, and then kind of in the middle of that, scroll down to the middle Polygon material IDs and verify that they're all already set to ID 1. Just click anywhere to deselect those. Make sure you're choosing window crossing and click and drag to select the windows. But don't cross that vertical line because that's another plane. And don't select inadvertently the beveled areas there. You're just selecting the glass. Zoom out as far as you can to select accurately without extra selection. And the farther you're out, the faster this will go, unless you make mistakes. If you make a mistake, use Control Z. When you select this, make sure you don't cross that vertical. This is selecting polygons we can see and polygons we cannot see on the other side of the tower. Set the material ID by bumping that up. To verify that we've done it correctly, choose 1 and select ID, and then bump it up and choose select ID again. And you should see what I see. Next, you want to choose the compact material editor. Now you may have this displayed, which is the slate material editor, but you want to use the compact material editor. In the sample slots, you'll have concrete and glass. Select glass if the glass is selected here, and then choose assign material to select. You should see a little white, these little slots turn white, then select the concrete, and over here choose select 1, and now that's selected, choose assign material to select. It won't hurt to do it twice. Close the material editor, Alt W, collecting the perspective, Alt W again, and you probably can orbit around. You can already see the transparency. End isolation, you can see both towers. In order for this to render correctly, I would recommend you go rendering and scene converter and convert scene. This converts the materials from Arch and Design to one that works well with the current renderer. Next, I would recommend you delete the daylight system and add it back in as a sun positioner. And just click anywhere you want and then set the date and time to whatever you want. So that's 3 o'clock on June 21st. Next, go into the render setup, and you see we have a selection of renderers. I don't think the scanline renderer works as well with this material, but the art renderer works pretty well. You also have to adjust your exposure, but you can do that after you render, or you can go ahead and do it right up before you render. I would suggest you might want to start with automatic exposure control, since there's no let's try rendering. It looks a little bit washed out. So let's again try the render preview here. It shows dark over here. Let's try it again one more time. That's a little better. Now, I'm way too far away, so make sure you zoom in here to where it kind of fits and adjust your perspective so it looks like you're kind of on the ground and rendered. It's still not great, so I'm going to close the renderer, and I'm going to Alt W to maybe a view that contains both of them. And I'm going to drag out a camera here and drag out a physical camera looking at both, and change the perspective view to that physical camera. Now we can select the parts of the physical camera and move them so that, let's say we're going to go up, we can view up, look up above us. And we can also select the physical camera itself and move that one. So I may have to zoom out here far enough to where we can get that. We can decide how much of the ground we want to see. Right click in here and then render again. Get better control of what you see. Now I don't know why the shadows are missing, but we'll cover that on another